What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls Pregame, presented by Coors Light. I'm Peck Bulls _Peck, back in the saddle, back from across the pond. Big Dave is here. Bow! BAWL Sports. And our guy, Will Perdue, Will _Perdue 32, hanging out with us for pre and post yet again tonight.
I like you.
Goat at the UC. Make sure you're following him, too, for his in-game updates. Will _Gottlieb. We will talk to him in post-game. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We got Kevin Wells back on the controls. What's up, Kev? Good to see you.
Man, what's going on,
Dave?
Big Dave, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be back. I will regale you with my tales tomorrow on the show. I know it's the pregame. I don't want to get too tough into things, but
I feel it. Okay.
Yes, but I had a ball. You look like you want to mess with me though, Will. You got stuff on your face.
No, I was just asking to just say
Come on.
thank you to Matt for talking to you and kind of getting you refocused.
like MJ and Rodman, I had to come get his ass out of bed. Say, hey, we got pregame and postgame to do.
Shout out Carmen Election. Hey, where'd you get the new chair, Kevin? Where did the new chair come from?
I wish I knew, but it's nice.
Oh, it is. Are you feeling that?
It's been very nice. I mean, it's a little big. I'm getting used to it.
All right.
It's
I like how we get a new fancy looking
chair,
producer's chair right after Joey bails. We hire a couple of new producers. That's what you get, Joseph.
That's right.
Did you guys get one new chair over there? I know Carm broke one of the legs. And
Carm broke the leg.
You almost sat in a broken one the other day last week, and I fixed it for you.
My
Right?
standards are low. I'll sit in a broken chair. I don't care. Make
Make
sure that beer fridge is full.
let me save your ass and say your standards are low except when it comes to your significant other.
Y'all redacted knows
thank
this.
you, Uncle Will.
Redacted understands. Redacted understands.
Shout out to everybody hanging out with us in the comments on YouTube. Shout out to Jonathan Torina, who said, fell in love with CHGO when Lonzo went down 1,000+ days later. Here we are to watch history as he looks to be the first to return to play after this knee procedure. Wish all the best to Zoe and CHGO. Much love to you. This is Lonzo Ball Redemption Day, guys.
Yes, yeah.
Could not be more excited. Got confirmation from Billy after shoot-around this morning that he will play. He will not start. He will come off the bench, and the plan is 2 4-minute stints in the first half.
Okay.
Reassess at halftime, see how Lonzo's feeling, and then hopefully 2 more 4-minute stints in the second half to stay at that 16-minute restriction that Lonzo, the team doctors, and the staff have set for him. How do we feel about that? Good starting point?
Yeah, I think, honestly, whatever restriction they gave him, I would be completely comfortable with. They told him 10 minutes, I would have been happy. They told him 4 minutes, I would have been happy. Just as long as I got to see him actually be on the floor. Because for me, it feels like it's more than me being a Bulls fan. Like, just him as a person, I'm just happy he gets to get back out there and do something that he truly loves. And you kind of understand the work that he put in, you know what I mean, that goes into getting back to this and having a surgery that nobody has ever come back from, ever. Like, I can't imagine that kind of mental toll that could kind of take on you at a guy who's only like 25 years old. So, yeah, this is a big thing. I'm over the moon excited to see him, Will.
I'm looking forward to see how he does, how he plays. I mean, it's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, he's even admitted that things are probably going to be different. He's not going to be the same player, but he still feels like he can help this team win, and I agree with him 100%.
Yeah.
I was just, I talked with Gottlieb. I'm hoping he gets a chance to either talk to Zoe before the game or after the game because I wanted him to ask a specific question. A lot of people have probably seen the clips already of him talking after shoot-around about what's he's looking forward to, but I'm curious to just see how he's had to change his approach to the game from an emotional and a mental standpoint to try to, and like you and I were talking about, Matt, reduce some of that stress that he's about to put on his knee. Because, again, this is unprecedented, what he's attempting to do. And I want people to not say he's back. let's just say he's playing at the moment.
Yeah.
And let's try to kind of table the expectations, because we know what he is. We know when he was out there playing and when he was balling, the Bulls were in first place, blah, blah, blah. But that's in the past. Let's just see if his body can handle the stress of 16 minutes, then probably 18 minutes,
Right.
and then 20 minutes. Yeah. And then actually you start to ask, okay, if his body continues to hold up and he doesn't really have any pain, where does he actually fit?
Yeah.
I'll give a perfect example is –
that's a good question.
And I'm not saying we're towards the end of Zoe's career, but when Bill Cartwright was towards the end of his career, even though Phil didn't really want to necessarily start him, he felt it was necessary because he's like, this is the warmest he's going to be. He's going to go out and warm up before the game, so let's just take him straight out of warm-ups, right into that starting lineup.
Give him the ball early.
Get him the ball early and let him do what he can, and let's see how things are going for him tonight.
Right.
And if you'll notice, most of the time he never came back in the rest of the first half, and then he had to go through and the whole process of loosening up again and play, 6-8 minutes in the third, and he was only getting 16 to 20 minutes a game.
Right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Like, as somebody who obviously played and dealt with injuries, you know what I'm saying, like that, what was the mindset for you when you were out for that kind of length of time, when you actually got to come back and get back on the floor? Like, was it nervousness? Were you just excited to get back out there? Were you worried about whatever injury that you had? Like, what was your mental like?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, almost like something needs to happen to where when we're watching, we're all like, uh-oh, but then he doesn't get hurt.
Right.
And to him, that's kind of like, I'm good.
Okay.
Something like that, goes down that is significant and scares the hell out of us. But then it has nothing happens to him physically to where his body is just like, hey, man, keep going.
Right.
But there's also two other aspects. One, he's coming on the floor and he's reading each one of his teammates' faces. Because you got to remember.
For what reason?
Well, he's been isolated. He hasn't been with his team.
Okay.
I mean, he basically hasn't played for 2.5 years.
Yeah, he said earlier today, I missed my teammates.
And a lot of times he's been doing his rehab in L.A. Occasionally, hey, the team's on the West Coast. Lonzo's going to be with the team. Well, he hadn't been there in 6 or 8 weeks. They haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been out to the West Coast. Or he came in periodically when the team wanted him to be, management wanted him to be around team. I've been injured where, you don't travel. You get isolated. You're working out on your own. You kind of don't want to get in the way of your teammates. Even though in my case, I was sitting on the bench and trying to help guys, at home games, I wasn't traveling. It's just like I've always talked about this group. They all like each other. There's no issues with that. It's just that he's questioning, how do I fit in? Because I think we've talked about it. He knows it. I mean, it's kind of like the Spider-Man meme, right? If him and Giddey stand there.
Yeah. well, one of the Spider-Men plays defense.
Yeah, and can shoot.
And can shoot three. Hey, you know what Giddey did on Monday night?
I do.
Because he knocked down 3 or 4 from downtown.
I did see him do that.
Let's go, Josh.
Come on, Joshua. I'm digging that.
Now, supposedly, let's go back here for a moment. I was giving Dave a hard time about not being here Monday, but he did say something about watching a Bulls game across the pond at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, no, I watched both of those games.
I saw, I think it was a Saturday night game.
Yeah.
So, middle of the night, Saturday into Sunday over in London. I saw a tweet of yours. It was like, right around halftime. It was like, look, have I been partying and having a good time? Yes. Am I tired? Yes. Am I watching this Bulls preseason game?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a sicko.
Dedication.
Yeah, I'm a sicko. And I have a whole new respect for what they do over there to watch these games, man. Because I was talking to some of the fans, and they were telling me their routines about, how they go. Some go to work at night, come straight home, and then watch the game. Some of them set it on the DVR. Saying shout out to Clem. Like, he was telling me his way.
Clem just said look, in the comments, Big Dave watched the Bulls at 1 a.m. He's one of us now. One of us. One of us.
Dude, but they have a different kind of diehard mentality that I really I respected it before, but when you do it, you get a whole new respect of it. So, no, I appreciated it, man. I had a whole new respect because I did the first half on the first game because we had the tailgate in the morning. But the one on Monday, I watched the whole thing. I just sat and watched the whole game.
So how much sleep do you think you average per night?
Hey, man, I slept. Matt knows this about me.
Yeah. I can't remember who I was telling in the office. I was like, Big Dave could teach a graduate masterclass in operating on very little sleep.
Hey, man.
It was me. You were telling that to me. Yeah.
He said yes.
Because I asked.
Yes, right.
But what is little sleep to you?
Like, because usually the first day when I get somewhere, I like to go to sleep for that first day. That didn't work out this time.
Every year when we go out to Vegas for Summer League, the
Every
first
year.
thing Dave
First
does is
thing.
disappear to his hotel room
Yep.
and sleep for
Yep.
48, but a solid like 18 hours.
Yeah, out of there. So because I know what we're about to do, and I know I've only slept for like an hour, so I'm going to sleep. And this, I only slept for like an hour, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go to sleep." But they were doing an event,
Yeah.
so I had to stay up. And then, here's something else. Here's something else. Here's something else.
You had to
So-
stay up.
Yes, I had to stay up. Will had to, but I
heard-
did get some. I promise you.
I was
got
told that
some
you were
rest.
there on an unofficial capacity.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, he was there to have a good time and be an ambassador for CHGO.
Oh, I
across
definitely
the
did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was working. Will.
You know, I don't.
No,
I
you
was working.
You were working it.
Two things can be true, Will. I can't work without it. I got to have it, Will, to work. That's why I'm beloved, because I got it.
Just to circle back to Lonzo for a second, we get back on track.
Come on.
Shout out to our old friend AK, who I see in the chat, also through the super chat, saying I can't see starting Giddey, Zach, Kobe, and Vooch. Defense will take a
Watches
nosedive.
this show?
I'm not sure it's the AK.
We hope so.
We'll need Io to start ultimately. Here is your Bulls starting five tonight because it's Giddey and Kobe in the backcourt, Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic are projected starting five for when the real games start. But going back to what you were saying about Lonzo and knowing his role, Will, that's what I'm curious about. 'Cause, like, you were telling me a story the other day about an injury you were rehabbing with the Spurs and how Coach Pop came to you at one point and was talking about, hey, like, I need to, adjust this. I know you're back. I know you put all this work into rehabbing and you're ready to go, and you can fill in the details of the rest of that story. But from Lonzo's perspective, you've also said to me and Big Dave several times over the years, like, starting matters to these guys.
Yeah.
And I don't think, whether it's tonight or any time down the road, that Lonzo is seen as someone who will be in this team starting lineup, but will be a veteran support role off the bench.
Yeah, so just to kind of fill in what Dave was Matt was talking about.
Thank you.
I was really having probably one of the best starts to my career ever was the lockout year where we only played 55 games.
Yeah.
I was playing a lot of minutes. I kept myself in shape, and then I had a high ankle sprain. So, over a 55 game season, I missed like 4.5, 5 weeks. So that was felt like half the season. And when I came back, I was ready to go. I'd practiced pretty well, and, Pop pulled me aside and said, listen, we all know, I know there's an unwritten rule that you don't lose playing time because of an injury. When you're ready to come back, you get a chance to prove yourself. You get put back into the lineup, whether it's starting lineup, coming off the bench, whatever it was you had. But he said, listen, I'm going to have to ask you to take a step back because we're just playing too well right now. Our chemistry is too good. And Malik Rose, who actually stepped up in my place, was playing really well. But I just need you to stay engaged because I'm going to need you against Portland and Sabonis. I'm going to need you against LA and Shaq. I'm going to need you against, Olajuwon. I'm going to, he went down the list of you're still going to play, but you're not going to be in that position that you were in. Because I think I was playing 20 plus minutes a game coming off the bench. Like I said, I had started off really well. It was a contract year, and so that's what happened. But what was the other part of the question?
Lonzo and coming back from an injury this long and knowing his role and the fact that it doesn't seem like he's going to be a starter. He's going to lose his starting spot.
For him, it's different because of the severity of the injury that he's had. I think that he truly is in a position to where he and the coaching staff have to identify what is the best position for him to have the biggest impact. And that's what we don't know because even he has admitted things are going to be different. We just don't know to what degree. So before Lonzo got hurt, he was a 10 out of 10. Is he a 9 out of 10? Is he an 8 out of 10? Is he a 7 out of 10? Because there are certain players, 70% of that guy is better than 100% of the other guy. So that's the question is, where is he at? What are his limitations? What can he actually do? And at what point does his mind free him up to truly just play basketball from a reactionary standpoint and not have to think about it?
So I think my question actually to both of you is, and I'm sure you're probably going to ask this question too, like, what do you want to see, from Lonzo tonight?
I want to see him play 4 separate 4-minute stints and not limp off the court.
That's fair.
You were talking a lot about the conditioning. He was talking after shoot around about that bout of COVID he had in September kind of set him back. He said he lost 10 pounds of muscle and had to work that back. You also have to assume that was part of the conditioning element of these training camp practices where you're just like scrimmaging for a couple hours. And, a live NBA game, preseason or not, is a whole other beast. So what do I want to see? Ideally, Lonzo get out there, get up and down the floor, knock down a couple of threes, play some defense. But, he said after shoot around, and you were talking about it too, Will, like my game's going to adapt a little bit. It's going to have to adjust. I'm not going to have the same burst after, 18 surgeries on my knee. But, this is a Bulls team that is now looking to play young guys and get out and run and gun. And some of the young guns are sitting tonight. Modest is sitting tonight. Julian's sitting tonight. Dalen sitting tonight, all with various minor injuries.
Sure.
And it's more of the vets that are going to be out there. Zach's playing, Kobe's playing, Vooch's playing. But even still, can Lonzo keep up if the Bulls' goal is to play faster?
Yeah, that's a great question for me. What do you want to see, Will?
Honestly, I want to see him wake up tomorrow and not have any pain. I can understand being sore, maybe a little swelling. I get that. But basically wake up tomorrow after playing 16, 17 minutes and be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I would, in this case, I don't see him playing back-to-backs, anything of that nature. But just as you talked about, just not getting up in the morning and having limp to the refrigerator or limp to the bathroom because, oh, man, this hurts. I got pain.
At some point in one of his various rehabs of the past, he was talking about pain going up and down the stairs in his house or his apartment or whatever.
He sure did. I want to see him look comfortable at some point in time during this game. Because you talked about it, Will, like looking at all those guys and I was finding out where he belongs and all that. And that's going to come over time. You know what I mean? But I want there to be a moment where he just looks comfortable, whether it's just shooting a 3, whether it's finding someone in transition, whether it's playing defense, you know what I'm saying? And it's really good, solid defense or something like that. I just want to see a comfortable moment from him and also want to see this. And I don't want to see this, but I'm just going to say it'd be cool if I saw this, or I would be okay. I shouldn't say cool. I'd be okay if I saw this. If he falls and he gets right back up, I'll be fine with that. That's like you said, something kind of has to happen when you have that injury. You're like, is it okay? Is it all right? And, you take a hit or something and you're like, oh, it's okay. All right. And it brings out a different level of comfort and how you play in your game right there. So, yeah, maybe that's a part I would like to see, but I would just like to see one moment of comfort for him on the actual basketball floor.
Yep. And that, and I'd really, as he gets healthier, I really want to see him and Giddey on the floor at the same time.
What do you want to see, when those two on the floor together?
Well, I mean, it's just now you're talking about, two wizards with the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And just how – because that's what Giddey reminds me of. I keep saying it and I'll keep saying it. When you talk to Giddey about the game, just even in the media day, I keep saying this. He's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers, right? Zoe is playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just their knowledge of the game and how they see it and how they process it is just different than everybody else.
Speaking of knowledge of the game, we got another super chat from our guy, AK, shout out, saying, with Lonzo, even in a diminished role, the Bulls get leadership and one of the highest basketball IQs for this young team, especially with the losses of Caruso and Debo. Which is why I think a veteran leader / role player off the bench could be a perfect role for Zoe this season if he manages to stay healthy and say. He also said at shoot around, we're starting out with 16 minutes. Ideally, I think he said this in response to Darnell's question, ideally that number increases as we move forward and there are, knock on wood, no setbacks. But even still, 15 to 20 minutes a night for a guy to come in and do all the things Lonzo can do that we're talking about on both ends of the floor and add to that new free-flowing and up-tempo Bulls offense, help out for, I think, a defensively challenged team in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Big Dave, you bring this up all the time, and so do I. Obviously, we had to get here first, step one, and then hopefully step two as Lonzo continues to play in games. But a veteran who can give you 15 to 20 solid minutes off the bench, a high IQ player, a well-liked guy by his teammates who can knock down threes and play defense. So, by the way, on an expiring contract,
Don't forget that.
some teams around the league who are heading for the playoffs might call the Bulls about that player.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be looking at him, and everything about Lonzo is just about his health. That's it. Like, if his health is right, because, again, I'm not going to be worried about him reacclimating and finding his way on his team because of how, like you just stated, how well he's liked and just how unselfish he plays. So I don't think he'll have an issue with that. And his basketball IQ, as Will says, that man is playing chess. Like, it's very true. So I'm not worried about that with him. It's just all about the knee. Like, it's just really about the knee. Can he be all right? Can he be okay from a game-to-game standpoint? And we know he's not going to be playing back-to-backs, and that's fine. But can he be a game, skip a game the next one, and then playing well in the next game? And by playing well, I mean just getting up and down the floor and being able to, still maintain, that kind of skill that he has.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the questions that are going to be answered. This is a very highly anticipated preseason game, and usually they aren't. But this one
correct.
really is, because
This one carries a lot of weight.
A whole lot of weight, Will. A colossal amount of weight, because we have to see, and the league wants to see, just to make sure Lonzo Ball is okay, because if Lonzo Ball is okay, it's better for the league, but also better for the Bulls because it gives them option maybe towards the trade deadline.
That gives them a lot of options, but I told myself I wouldn't do this, but let's just say hypothetically,
Okay.
he continues to make baby steps, and as the season starts, he can actually play. I mean, think about putting Iowa at the 2,
Yep.
Kobe at the 2, and because I think we saw it in the last preseason game. You watched from London, and we were talking about it. Who was the primary ball handler in that game on Monday night? It was Giddey.
It was Giddey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now you all of a sudden allow Kobe to be running free without the ball, finding areas on the floor where he's wide open because of what Giddey can do and what Zoe can do with the basketball. And you've seen already the ability to catch and pass and move the ball up the floor without having to do it on the bounce.
Yeah.
And this team wants to run. Matt and I were talking about it. They've already got 2 games where they've had 30-plus fast break points. I'm not sure that happened once last year.
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably
It's a
not.
different brand. Speaking of, a lot of eyes and a lot of stakes for this preseason game, the same is true on the other side. Let's spend the last few minutes here talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves, a new-look team. The Wolves starting 5 tonight: Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, and who? What? Julius Randle?
Hey.
Yeah, that's a trade that happened.
It's a
Karl-Anthony Towns is in New York with the Knicks. Donte DiVincenzo and Julius Randle come to Minnesota, and that bold trade that I think shocked a lot of people, especially with the Minnesota Timberwolves moving on from Karl-Anthony Towns, knowing that they have this other superstar who's young in Anthony Edwards, and the team is on the rise. The team looked to be a contender in the West for years to come. And I was on the side of people who said, actually, when I take a close look at this, I think I really like this trade for Minnesota. If Randle is like the good 3-time All-Star version of Randle, and you get DiVincenzo, I think they did also have to send New York a protected first, a future first in that deal. But even still, it's a bold move by Minnesota, and tonight will be Julius Randle's Minnesota debut.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this will be our first time seeing what it looks like. Okay. I'm excited about that. Go ahead.
That's, to me, this is not his team. At the time, in New York, it was his team till he got hurt. And then the face of the organization changed. But this is going to be his responsibility to adapt to Edwards. Because what is it that Randle needs? The ball in his hand. But he's no longer the first option. He's the second option.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting because there's more on his shoulders to make changes than anybody else. He has to adapt.
I am interested to see just how it gets along with a guy like Anthony Edwards, because I think it really will, because I think Randle is okay not being a first option in this situation, and at the time he is in his career.
Yeah.
I think he's quite okay with that. But I'm also interested to see how it works with Rudy Gobert at the same time, because defensively Randle has never been that guy. is that better for a guy like Rudy Gobert to just have everything to himself that he's kind of used to?
Right.
Or does it take away something that, oh no, I got to do everything. I got to hit every rebound. That's what I'm kind of curious to see, because I don't know how his game works. You know what I'm saying? With somebody like Karl-Anthony Towns, or how could it work with somebody like Julius Randle, who will get those rebounds. That's what he does. But defensively, he just ain't that guy like that, man. So yeah, shout out to my man Adam, who I hung out with in London as well. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to Adam. My man.
As you watch on YouTube, you saw there all of the details of that trade actually turned into a 3-team trade with the Hornets helping to facilitate. And it was actually Minnesota that ended up getting a future first from the Knicks in that trade.
Yeah.
So, to me, hey, if Randle finds his role, as you were talking about, Will, the one wrinkle here is that in tonight's game specifically, they are holding out Naz Reid, who has some sort of minor – Big Dave's favorite player, Naz Reid. Some kind of minor shoulder injury.
He's pretty good.
And tonight will be the first time that DiVincenzo, the other big piece of that trade coming over from the Knicks, will be coming off the bench because he started up to this point in Wolves preseason action because Ant, Gobert, Conley were all resting. So now you got DiVincenzo off the bench. Talk about a great sixth man. You will at some point see Randle, Reid, Gobert.
Okay.
And I'm all out there, talk about all of the size that this Minnesota team has. And Jaden McDaniels on top of that. Good Lord.
No, they're huge. Let me tell you, DiVincenzo.
Good luck, Adama Sanogo.
Good luck.
2020 tonight. All that you talking about.
Good luck scoring on that. I mean, that's a defensive unit, man. Good luck scoring on those guys.
Oh, yeah,
but you know who,
to me,
you know who that puts the most pressure on? P. Will.
My God.
To do what?
The fact that I wasn't even in my mind contemplating Patrick Williams rising to the occasion
Not
of
even
that
1
front
second.
court.
Not even for 1 second. I'm looking around
he is playing and starting tonight.
I was like EJ Liddell.
You got to look at the bigger picture, because he hasn't proved anything in these first 2 games that he's played.
Yes.
Didn't play in the last game.
No.
I've said this. He was set up for failure against Cleveland. Because of
up for failure.
Because of who he had to guard. That's just he can't guard that.
I mean, Will. All right. Okay. All right.
But he has to, because of the size of this lineup. He's got to get in there and mix it up. You can't have a 2 rebound game, a 3 rebound game. Listen,
that's Patrick's specialty.
I understand that is true. I understand it's preseason, but you talked about how this is a different type of game, and you look at it differently for Zoe because of what he's been through.
Yeah.
But also P. Will now, whether he wants to admit it or not, he's got to justify the Bulls signing him to a new contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've seen enough, and this is the other thing. We've seen enough of him we know he has the potential. He has the physical skill set. But what we haven't seen is the consistency of night in and night out. And that's not only what we want, that's what we demand. And once now that you get re-signed, you've got to be able to back that up.
Yeah. I agree completely. And I think we're going to see Pat in more comfortable spots on the floor tonight. In some of these earlier preseason games, the first 2 that he played, we saw Billy throw a small ball Pat at the 5 look out there for a couple different stretches. But Vooch is back tonight. Jalen Smith is back tonight after missing the 2nd and 3rd preseason games with his sore knee. So, you got your starting center and your presumptive backup center. So it's not like Pat's going to be asked to go out there and guard the monsters of this Minnesota front court. But even still, their small forwards and power forwards present a gigantic challenge to Pat.
I mean, Julius Randle's not an easy, you know what I'm saying?
It's not. And we've seen Patrick hold his own defensively against some of the more skilled big scorers in the NBA in his early NBA career. What we haven't really ever seen him do is try and take on large guys with his limited offensive game.
That part right there. And also, I want to say, I got my eye on DiVincenzo this season. That dude's playing with a chip on his shoulder that I didn't even realize was there until that stuff started coming out.
Did you see the thing about the leaked audio that people found of him, yapping at Jalen and his dad?
Yeah, man. He's taking it personally, and he took that personally. he really wants to prove something this season, man.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I think all his hatred is at Thibs.
Yeah.
but he's also using the theory the other guys are guilty by association.
Yeah. That's how you're lumped in together now. So I'm gonna try to get all of y'all. So no, I appreciate it. I appreciate that kind of mental.
Fantasy Cast Pod saying Zoe will go 20-10-10 in 10 minutes of play. I 100% guarantee it.
Now, that's a fantasy.
Make sure you circle back and join us for post game Fantasy Cast. Let's check back on that. I'd be happy with some solid defense, a couple of threes, a couple of nice dimes, and 2 intact knees in a couple of hours.
Now that's the triple double we have to write.
There you go. Also, shout out to Stand Up Rivera, who said CHGO Sports are cool dudes, great pod.
Thank you.
Also saw that you said earlier that you subscribed. Thank you for doing that.
Appreciate it.
Subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel if you aren't already. Thank you for joining us, all 200 plus of y'all, for pregame. We love having you here. Love chatting.
Yeah.
Big Dave is back.
I'm
Vibes
here.
are good. Purdue's in the house.
He's
We
the
got
man.
Kev back in the producer's
Back
chair.
there, man.
And make sure you're following the GOAT for his in-game
MP is
updates,
back
Will
there.
_Golly. We will see y'all right back here for CHGO Bulls post-game live after Bulls and T-Wolves. Hit that like button. Do it for Lonzo and his return. Let's all watch this and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, for the whole crew, enjoy the ball. We'll talk to you in a couple hours.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.